Hello, how are you guys doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about game sales. And I don't normally talk about sales. I've brought that up to you guys before. It's not that I don't really care about the sales of video games or consoles, software and hardware and all that stuff, because I do care about it. It is interesting, and I know a lot of you guys care about it as well. But it's not really the kind of news or topics that I've ever found so interesting that I wanted to spend a lot of time on it on my channel and on my videos. It's come up here and there, but I rarely discuss it as kind of the focal point of a whole topic. But when we look at what we might be expecting to be released on the Nintendo Switch throughout the rest of 2019, based on the games that we already know are coming, and then of course, games that we maybe don't yet know about with E3 coming up in just a couple of weeks, I thought it would be interesting and fun to kind of discuss a little bit of Nintendo Switch game sales. Now, more specifically, I kind of want to make this like a pseudo predictions video. What I want to do is discuss, based on the games that we currently know about, which games I feel will probably be the best selling games in 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. And obviously, the big caveat here is that we are a couple of weeks from E3, so whatever surprises we're going to get at E3, whatever new game announcements or reveals, maybe even confirmations of some release dates that we find out about when E3 actually happens, that could certainly change the nature of this conversation. And so I felt it would be fun to discuss this before E3, because once E3 comes, if we do get some new games that might sort of impact how the sales might play out, it might be fun to do sort of like a follow-up video after E3 to kind of discuss how that information, those games and reveals, might actually impact this list. But in general, we're just looking at, like I said, the games we already know about, because there are a lot of great Nintendo Switch games coming out this year, a lot of great first-party games, the return of some franchises we've been waiting for a very long time, and some really great third-party multi-platform games, and even some exclusive third-party games coming, and it's just a great year. And so, while we're still here in that first half of the year, before the big E3 show, I kind of thought it would be fun to do this. Now, this is really just for fun. I'm not trying to be, or claim myself to be, some sort of Nostradamus of video game predictions, or an expert when it comes to video game sales. I mean, I think that a lot of us can use our own logic and deductive reasoning to kind of pick out which games are going to sell the best on the Switch this year. There's not a lot of surprises here in this video. That's not what I'm trying to do. But again, I just think that it's an interesting topic because we have so many great, huge games coming out for the Switch this year. Even though one of the games I hope to play this year, my baby Metroid Prime 4, was delayed, and we don't know when we're going to see the damn thing. But if we put that aside, there's some other great games coming out. So what I want to do is start with what I think will be the 5th best-selling game. I'm kind of just going from 5 to number 1, what I think will be the best-selling games for the Nintendo Switch, the biggest games. And when we look at number 5, it's the one game that is actually already released, which I know might sound crazy, but I really think that this game will be one of the 5 best-selling games of the year, and it's New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which of course released back in January. A little bit controversial because we've seen a pretty healthy amount of Wii U ports coming to the Switch. And some people think it's great, some people think it's terrible and the worst thing ever. I'm someone who kind of rests in the middle where it's like I don't really care because we've had so many great games for the Switch already and there's evidence of so many more great games coming. I think that it's totally fine. But yeah, I do understand at the same time bringing more ports of games that already released isn't always the most exciting. So I think that there's kind of goods and bads to the idea. At the end of the day, I'm not losing sleep over the Wii U ports thing, but I know that a lot of people are. They're not happy with it. That being said, there's a couple of things that can't be denied, and that is the fact that a lot of these Wii U ports, in fact, I think all of them, have done and sold extremely well. So clearly, from a business perspective, Nintendo's making a pretty smart choice here to do this. New Super Mario Bros. U, in just a couple of months, has already sold over 3 million units. It's, I think, bordering on 3.5 million units or so. That's pretty impressive. That's really, really crazy. I mean, Mario games notoriously sell extremely well, and the new Super Mario Bros. Games, I mean, the best of those games have sold astronomically well. Like, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, whatever the Wii one was, oh my god, that thing sold like freaking crazy. So, I'm not surprised to see over 3 million in sales for New Super Mario Bros. U. I'd be willing to bet that by the end of 2019, it could be somewhere around 5 million. I mean, I think it'll definitely cross 4 million, and maybe it even gets close to 5 million, or heck, maybe it even surpasses 5 million. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's even bigger than that. It's hard to say. Like I said, I'm not the Nostradamus of game sale predictions, but I do think that it's going to get significantly higher before the end of the year, because Mario is Mario. They're always quality games, and they always sell. And so, even though there's a lot of great games we still haven't had released, I truly think that, you know, barring some huge E3 surprises, New Super Mario Bros. U will probably be the 5th best-selling game of the year. Now, the next game I wanted to bring up is Fire Emblem Three Houses. And this one is tricky because I do expect pretty massive sales for this game, as evidenced by the fact that I'm bringing it up. But I also could see it being something that maybe doesn't sell quite as much as New Super Mario Bros. U. I feel like these two games have kind of like a back and forth where it's really hard for me to kind of determine which one of those might sell more than the other. But at the end of the day, I'm going to just have faith in the new game, the one that isn't a port, and the fact that Fire Emblem as a franchise has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger over the years with every new release. And, you know, we just had Smash Brothers come out with even more Fire Emblem characters in it than ever before, so clearly Nintendo is pushing this series. Awakening did very well. The Fates games did extremely well. I mean, there's really no reason to think that this game isn't going to be a massive seller when it comes out in July. I am so excited for a console Fire Emblem to finally come back, and one that is on my Switch, so I can play it like my portable versions like I did with Awakening and Fates, or I can play it like a console game on my TV. It's just going to be great. And, you know, like I already stated here, we can't undersell the fact that these games and this franchise has been growing and getting bigger and bigger. Nintendo's put more and more emphasis on it. They've pushed it more to the forefront of their pantheon of first-party games, and I think that people have been listening and responding. They're always high quality, and people always buy them. And it's extra tough with Fire Emblem because I could see it being something that's just like a modest or a moderate hit where it sells maybe like 2 million copies. I could even see it being something that's like borderline a massive hit and selling upwards of even 7 or 8 million units. I don't know that I would believe it will sell that many, but anything is possible, especially on the Switch, man. I mean, everything sells like crazy on this console. It's just really awesome to see that kind of perfect market and magic that Nintendo has tapped into with this console. And so, with Fire Emblem being more and more important every day and selling better and better with every new release, and now it's going to be on the hottest device on the planet, the Nintendo Switch, there's no reason to think that Fire Emblem Three Houses isn't going to kill it. So that's pretty much why I brought it up on this video. Now, the next game is a game that I feel like some diehard fans of this franchise are going to maybe feel could be the best-selling game of the year. They might feel like this game is going to sell way, way better than I'm listing it here. But I really feel like it's going to probably come down on the middle here where I'm placing it, and that's Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is a game that people have been waiting for so long. Obviously, real fans of the series have been waiting even longer when you consider the fact that the Amiibo Festival game on the Wii U, although I didn't play it because I don't play Animal Crossing, was clearly not a good game and easily something that people just were not interested in and did not want, and the game was not of good quality. So, Animal Crossing fans, which by the way does include my girlfriend a lot if you guys know, they've really been wanting a new console Animal Crossing. I mean, the last several like good iterations have all been releasing, I think, portably if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm not an Animal Crossing expert and I'm not really into the series at all. But with the Happy Home Designer or whatever that one was, and then there's the Tree Folk, and there's the Wild Town or whatever it is. I know you guys are going to yell at me for getting those wrong. But there's been like, you know, several in a row, I think, where they were just DS and like Game Boy releases, you know? I mean, the first console game in a long time was Amiibo Festival, which, like I said, was no freaking good. And so Animal Crossing really falls into a similar category with Fire Emblem, where it's a great franchise, it sells extremely well, people love it, it reviews well, mostly been releasing on the handheld as of late, but is now finally making its return to the console for the first time in a very long time. And I think Fire Emblem is going to kill it in sales, and I think Animal Crossing is going to decimate in sales. I mean, Animal Crossing really is the better selling franchise overall compared to Fire Emblem. I mean, there's just no question. And so I think that the hype for Animal Crossing from fans is real. I think that it's bigger than it even is for Fire Emblem. And it makes me a little bit sad because, again, I'm not into Animal Crossing, but I'm very into Fire Emblem. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm just one guy. Obviously, people have so many different opinions, and I mean, you can't understate the success and the popularity of Animal Crossing, man. Everyone and their mother plays and loves Animal Crossing, and, you know, we're going to have it in my house because, again, my girlfriend is going to have a copy of that game to play, and it's really exciting. Like, I can't wait to see what that game is like, what it is for fans, and what it is for her, because I'm going to kind of gauge it through her eyes. In fact, maybe we'll even make like a video kind of review sort of thing where it's more me talking to her about the game and letting her kind of riff on it and discuss what's good about it or not good about it, because she has history with the franchise and I really don't. I tried that first game on GameCube when it came out because it was such a big deal and I was excited to try it. And I was like, yeah, this just isn't for me. It just did not speak to me from the jump. And so I've had zero interest since. There's nothing that it's doing that is interesting or exciting to me. But like I said, it's a huge franchise for a reason, and I know it's high quality for people who like that kind of gameplay, so make no mistake, Animal Crossing is going to be one of the best sellers. I think it's definitely going to be in the range of 10 million. It'd be crazy to think it's not going to sell that much, so that's kind of where my prediction lies. Now, the next game I want to bring up that I think will probably be the second best selling game of the year is Super Mario Maker 2. And this one was tricky for me because I really had to sit and kind of think about this. Mario Maker is another franchise where, similar to Animal Crossing, I know it's popular and I know it's quality and I know people love it, but I kind of really don't. And so initially I wasn't even really considering Mario Maker, but then I started to think about all these games and it's like, oh wait, Mario Maker 2 comes out this year. It comes out in June, and Mario Maker 1 was a huge seller and there was so much buzz and conversation for it. People loved Mario Maker. In fact, I'm assuming most of you guys loved Mario Maker and think I'm crazy for not being a fan of Mario Maker. And I really started to realize on the Nintendo Switch, a Mario Maker game, especially one that isn't a port like people theorize, but is in fact a sequel with a lot of improvements and enhancements, there's no doubt that this game is also going to be massive. I mean, I think this game is going to be 12 to 15 million units sold. I really feel like it could be that high. And again, I'm getting into dangerous territory when I keep throwing numbers out there because, as I've stated twice already, I am not the guy to really predict sales and sales numbers. I'm not a predictions channel or a predictions guy. I'll put them out there for fun, but I don't really, I've said this before, I don't build my reputation or my channel on the idea that I'm a predictor and I get predictions right because I know everything about everything. Like, that's not really who I am, but it's fun to throw these numbers out there. I can't help but do it, and so that's why I'm doing it. So don't hold me to it. I'm just having fun here with the numbers. But speaking of those numbers, yeah, I feel like well over 10 million for Mario Maker 2 is going to make sense. I mean, the Switch is probably going to cross 40 million units sold this year. So by the end of 2019, with the game coming out in the, right at the tail end of the first half of the year, it's going to have over 6 months on the market for people to be able to buy this as Switches continue to sell more and more. Mario Maker, so popular. And such a big seller on the Wii U, a console that only had 13 million units in people's homes. Mario Maker 2, it's just going to be huge, man. People love this Mario Maker thing. They love making levels and they love playing people's other crazy levels that they design. That to me was kind of what I ended up not liking about it as I played it, because I was so excited, and then I started realizing as I played more and more levels, I was like, oh, I don't really like playing levels that just people make. I just don't find them fun. I find it impressive what people are able to do, and so as a tool for creation and as a showcase to how creative people can be, that's where Mario Maker is great to me. But is it actively fun video game playing time for me? No. I mean, I love you guys, but I don't think most of you are good at making fun Mario levels. I think Nintendo is good at making fun Mario levels, and they know how to slowly ramp up and increase the difficulty and the engagement and the complexity of levels in a way that is normal video game template fun. But people with just a bunch of tools to make levels, they just go crazy from the jump. They're trying to make levels that are so hard you want to kill yourself. And they're trying to throw so much wacky stuff in there just to show that they can do it. It's like, wow, that's impressive that you can do it, but it sure ain't fun to play. That's what I learned for me when playing Mario Maker. I know I'm alone, and I completely respect the fact that all of you guys are going to think I'm crazy and that you love that about Mario Maker. That's great for you. I want you to have fun with it. For me, I need something different, so I'm not really into it. But as I've said, it's going to be a massive seller. Okay, so now if we're going to bring up the last game that I'm going to mention, what I think will be the best seller of the year, is there any possible surprise on what this game is? Of course there isn't, because we know it's Pokemon Sword and Shield. These games, this game, however you're supposed to call it, is going to be huge. And you know what's funny? If we look at the top 3 games that I listed to be the best-selling games on the Switch this year, all 3 of them, which does include Pokemon, are all franchises and games that I don't play and aren't exciting to me and aren't really games made for Rob. You know, I'm not an Animal Crossing fan, I'm not a Mario Maker fan, and I'm not a Pokemon fan. It's really just a kind of an interesting coincidence when you think about it. But hey, I'm not a hater. I don't not play these games, including Pokemon, because I think that they're bad quality, poorly made video game experiences. Not at all. I know that they're all incredibly quality video game experiences, and that's why they have huge dedicated fan bases. But they just, by sheer coincidence, they don't appeal to me personally. Anyway, I'm going to stop blabbing about my opinion and actually talk about Pokemon here. I mean, what more needs to be said, man? It's Pokemon. It's always a gargantuan seller, huge hit. Every single time there's new games, even when they're weird spin-off games like Let's Go, and all of the Pokemon fans were hating on Let's Go like it's the worst thing ever. And then, just like I predicted, they were huge sellers. And in fact, it seemed like most people actually enjoyed those games and didn't hate them as much as they were claiming before the games came out. So I just want to put that out there. People maybe speak before they think sometimes. And so, you know, now we have Pokemon, similar to Animal Crossing, similar to Fire Emblem, is another series finally coming back to console. And I know with Pokemon, they've done console spin-off games in the past, like this Gale of Darkness or whatever on the GameCube, and all these weird things, Pokemon Snap, things like that. So they've done like some console games, but as far as like the mainline entries where there's always like 2 games that release at one time, those, as far as I understand, have always been handheld games. From the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance to the DS, the 3DS, they've always been portable games. Now it's the first time main entries with Sword and Shield are coming to a home console, but of course, the brilliance of the Switch is that it's also going to be portable for fans who like Pokemon that way. I mean, really, if you think about it, there is nothing stopping Pokemon. There is nothing that could stop it. There is nothing standing in its way. There is everything in the world working for this game. I guess maybe I'll say the one thing working against it is that I have seen some diehard Pokemon fans criticize the game a little bit based on the trailer, saying the graphical style doesn't look right, or the way that they're introducing, I don't know, XYZ mechanic, whatever it is, they seem to not be happy with. So I should say that. There are some diehards that seem to have some negative opinions, but that seems like a small group overall. I've discussed my opinions. When I saw it revealed, the only disappointing aspect to me is that it looked, as far as the tone and the style of graphics, not the quality of graphics, the style of graphics, because those are different things. Quality and style, art direction and style, different things. And so I'm knocking my microphone over. I'm so heated about it. And so the style and the tone of the visuals to me looked almost indistinguishable from Let's Go. Obviously, there was more going on visually, and like the character models looked better, and the lighting and like the complexity of the landscapes looked better, but it was the same overall visual style. And I didn't know really to expect that. I think I was maybe expecting something more out of it, but I'm not a Pokemon fan, so of course I was wrong. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, it looks kind of like the Let's Go games, and so that's a little bit disappointing to me. But regardless, people are excited for this, and I've stated this before, I was on the Spawncast that weekend after Pokemon Sword and Shield was revealed, and we had a whole conversation about Pokemon, and I finally decided to give in, and I stated, one of these games, Sword or Shield, I will pick up and play for the Nintendo Switch, making it officially the first Pokemon game I will ever play. And while I'm not, like, excited for the games, I am excited to try it. I mean, I thought it was kind of fun to double down on that and say, you know what? Screw it, man. Let's just do this. This is a big deal. I've never really tried these games. Why don't I actually just give it a shot? I mean, they've never appealed to me. Nothing about them appeals to me. Not even now. But am I excited to try something new that I've never played? Something that's really popular and people love to death. They live and breathe Pokemon? yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm an open-minded guy, so I'm willing to give it a shot. And so, yeah, you guys will actually be able to hear from me finally discussing Pokemon from the perspective of somebody who's played it once those games come out. And so, at the end of the day, I mean, what more needs to be said? Pokemon's huge. It's going to be the bestseller. Is it going to be more than 15 million units sold? Probably. Is it going to get as high as 18 or even 20 million units sold? Maybe. I mean, that would make it the best-selling games on the Switch. It would surpass Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and stuff like that, Mario Kart. But I would think it's possible, you know? I think I might defer to a lot of you guys on this one here. You guys who are actual Pokemon experts and been following it as diehard fans your whole life or since the series started, whatever. You probably understand better. Do you feel like Pokemon Sword and Shield could get as high as even 20 million units sold on the Nintendo Switch? I want to hear what you guys have to say. But for me, at the end of the day, definitely over 15 million. Easily going to be the best-selling games of the year is Pokemon Sword and Shield. So what do you guys think? Do the 5 games that I brought up before E3 make sense to you? Obviously, as I've said so many times, I'll say it again, E3 is the X factor here. It could change everything. I mean, another game we don't have a confirmed date for is Bayonetta 3. That's a game that might still end up being a 2019 game, although I don't expect it. And so maybe Bayonetta 3 could be so big it could crack into the top 5 at the end of the year. I actually don't think it would crack into the top 5, but I mean, you never know. It's just an example of something that we don't yet know before E3 comes and goes. And I don't know what series they could announce at E3 that could be big enough to crack into the top 5 or knock some of these off the list, but you never know, man. You just never know. And so all I can say is once E3 comes and goes, there might be a reason to update or change this list, and if that happens, then I'll discuss it at that time. But in the here and now, here in the first week of May, I feel like these are pretty solid choices to be the biggest games for the Nintendo Switch in 2019. So what do you think? Do my choices make sense? Do you have a different feeling or opinion? Maybe a different selection of games that'll probably be the biggest and best-selling games of the year? Whatever you think, talk about and share them below. And this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R, and I'll catch you next time on another video.